One dictionary picked it as Word of the Year, finding the term's use had risen by 365% since 2016. Google is opening an artificial intelligence lab in Beijing, a small but symbolic attempt to tiptoe back into the world's biggest online arena. Other big technology names have also set up AI shops in China to capitalize on growing skills and lavish state support. Separately, Jia Yueting, once a brash tech tycoon, was added to a publicly searchable blacklist this week over $72 million in debt, part of China's campaign to name and shame irresponsible borrowers. Stunned by Beijing's sudden, rapid campaign to tear down apartment buildings and evict migrants from poorer sections after a devastating fire, an artist began shooting and posting dozens of videos documenting the forced removal of thousands of people. Now, Yang is on the run from the police, moving from city to city, but still posting. From last week, I hope people living in free countries can pay attention to those in unfree countries. And I hope people in unfree countries can bravely stand up and fight for the rights and dignity of being human. Quote, a new Australian law barring child sex offenders from international travel had an immediate impact when it took effect on Wednesday, turning a convicted pedophile away from Sydney Airport. The law, which government officials have called a world first, is meant to keep Australian pedophiles from traveling to Southeast Asian countries to engage in child sex tourism. Today's 360 video captures a big moment for residents of the Japanese village of Jae-in, which was devastated by the 2011 tsunami. It's the recent celebration of the reopening of a painstakingly reconstructed 1,000-year-old Buddhist temple. It's important to have a place that provides spiritual support, the chief priest said. Though many of the villagers are still scattered, Disney is closing in on the once unthinkable purchase of most of Rupert Murdoch's movie and television empire. The $60 billion-plus deal could transform the entertainment world. Toshiba, the Japanese conglomerate left ailing by its bet on U.S. nuclear power, settled its dispute with Western Digital and can proceed with the crucial $14 billion sale of its microchip business. U.S. coal producers are seeing more overseas demand from energy-hungry countries, notably China and India, but the upturn may not last. Fears of a cryptocurrency bubble prompted South Korea's government to consider using taxes to rein in trading, and Australia's central bank chief to warn of a speculative mania. Quote, the Bitcoin dream is all but dead, our columnist wrote in 2014. He now points to 5 ways he was wrong. U.S. stocks were up. Here's a snapshot of global markets. South Korea's President Moon Jae-in meets with President Xi Jinping today, the highlight of a 4-day trip aimed at easing strains over North Korea and the U.S. Above, he toasted a South Korean-Chinese celebrity couple on Wednesday. South China Morning Post. After Rex Tillerson, the U.S. Secretary of State, offered to begin direct talks with North Korea, the White House insisted that President Trump had not changed his position that talks without changed conditions would be useless. The New York Times. Fury rose in Okinawa after a metal window frame fell from a U.S. military helicopter into a schoolyard, narrowly missing children at play. The Asahi Shimbun. The Philippines extended martial law in Mindanao for a year, which President Rodrigo Duterte justified as necessary to ensure the total eradication of militancy. The New York Times. Myanmar arrested 2 Reuters journalists and accused them of illegally possessing government documents. The U.S. Embassy called the arrests highly irregular. Quote, the New York Times. The Committee to Protect Journalists identified 262 journalists imprisoned in connection with their work, a record high. More than half were in China, Egypt or Turkey. The New York Times. British surgeons saved a baby girl who was born with her heart outside her body. The New York Times. High-tech drones are patrolling dozens of Australia's beaches for sharks. Awesome, said a swimmer. Viz.org. Tango Gao, the beloved Shanghai illustrator, is releasing his first book in the U.S. Sub-China. Tips, both new and old, for a more fulfilling life. Science wants to know.